Right on, right on. Hey, it's Spencer and Tom back for another week of real estate mayhem in the Seattle area. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Spencer. How you doing?
I'm doing great and excited to change it up a little bit. And
Got to have a dad joke first.
of course, can't forget about the dad joke. What
Are
what
you
do you
ready?
got? What do you got? I'm ready.
Okay, so I went to the liquor store the other day, and buy a little bottle of something, and of course the guy standing at the counter, he cards me. I'm like, cool. So I reach in my wallet, and I'm pulling out my driver's license, and my Blockbuster video card fell out onto the counter. The guy looked at me and went, you know what? Never mind.
For more dad jokes like that, email Tom personally. Even better yet, send him a text message and he'll plop those right into your inbox.
Yeah, send me your best dad joke, and I'll use it on the air.
Or better yet, subscribe to this YouTube channel and for more dad jokes from Tom every week. Thanks, Tom.
All right, well, let's get to the serious stuff, Spencer.
I don't know. This might be too serious for people because I want to talk about recession. Maybe we could add a cool voiceover for that.
Yeah.
Voiceover. Recession 2023. Everybody's talking about it. And earnings today from a couple of NASDAQ companies, Microsoft and Google, were worse than expected. And YouTube ad revenues for Google Alphabet were down $400 million. And what that tells me and should tell you is companies are spending less money on stuff like digital ads, which personally think is a good time to buy ad space with some of these platforms as everybody's being fearful. We should do what Warren Buffett tells us to do and be greedy. But this could signal layoffs to come, companies kind of signals companies gearing up for what they think is going to be a recession in 2023. In fact, there's one tech recruiter who does a lot of work in the area. And she said she's seeing businesses being worried about these economic headwinds that are coming our way in 2023, especially companies like Amazon, Facebook, Meta, uh, hiring freezes, layoffs, round one, round two, all these companies in the Seattle metro area. There's even a story of Meta pulling internship offers that they sent out and expecting what she is expecting though is these people that are getting laid off from these companies to go to other companies basically in the Seattle metro area that are still hiring. These B2B companies, Seattle's got a ridiculous startup market, and I don't think I had it in my notes, but in June of 2022, total amount of VC funding in the Seattle metro area was $4.4 billion with a B. And it's expected to be pretty close to where we were at in 2021 as far as VC funding, which was like 9.6 billion before the area. So you got a lot of startups here. You got biotech, you got companies like Amazon, Facebook, and all the little subsidiaries that they buy up and stuff like that. Got a lot of money out here in Seattle. But there may be hope on the horizon. PitchBook, actually, Kyle Stanford he's a senior analyst over at Seattle-based firm PitchBook Data. And they are expecting the B2B market to increase, where the B2C market is pulling back and bracing for impact, buckling the seatbelts. B2B is expected to continue to grow. Oh, sorry, it was 9.2 billion in all of 2021 for VC funding. So that will be interesting to see. You've got a growing list of CEOs that are talking about recession. Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan, Jeff Bezos at Amazon, and this report I read from Aon, there's a data company that looks at C-suite and small businesses, Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that. Third, sort of 70 to 79% believe that there will be a recession in 2023, and only 35 to 37% are actually prepared for it. So you've got a lot of companies that are doing these layoffs and again, bracing for impact. And only about 14% of companies, at least that they noted, were planning to hire new employees. So what that does to the job market, we'll see, but it's definitely changed since 2021. Employers will get more picky, I think. And as people start to look for two jobs to keep up with the Joneses in 2023, 2024, you could see employers taking back some control and having their pick of who they want. So we'll keep an eye on that. CPI, if you don't watch that, all-time high, 8.3% since they started.
CPI stands for
Consumer Price Index. Let me share this so we can add some visual flair here. So you can see this throughout since 1983. When they started tracking this, the Fed, it's the highest it's ever been.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 9.2 in August, 8.3 today. So that's where the Fed is. That's why they're raising interest rates. They're trying to cool off the economy. And you've got more rate increases expected. November 2nd is going to be their next one. They said at 75 basis points. And December, we're expecting another 50 basis point hike there. And Brett Ryan, the senior US economist over at Deutsche Bank, is expecting the Q3 or the recession in 2023 to be sometime around Q3, but he's expecting it to be pretty mild, actually, mild or moderate, he says. And the Fed has said multiple times that they're only going to back off the frequency of these rate increases when they see that inflation is moderated and hits that plateau. What does this mean for the real estate world? It definitely means that interest rates aren't coming down anytime soon, I think. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, we're still forecasting rates to maybe start coming down Q1, Q2 of next year. We're still seeing pretty volatile rates right now as of this morning. And I think you have some charts coming up that'll show the rate, this 30-year fixed rate mortgage at like 6.8. As of this morning, it was at 7.12.
Yeah.
According to CNBC. We're still fairly volatile in that realm, which has caused a lot of people to back off. I've got a lot of people who are sitting and waiting, and I'd like to address that down the line if I can. Right now, I'll throw it back to you, but I'll definitely chime in when we start talking about people wanting to wait
Yeah.
to buy.
Yeah. There's a silver lining in all this, I think.
Love silver linings.
And so that's the recession. This big scary thing that nobody knows when it's going to come. It's like that monster that you were waiting for to jump out of your closet when you're a little kid, but never did.
But yeah, I don't know. I've been able to keep them locked up in my closet. I just never let them out. The stupid monster follows me everywhere I move too. I don't know what the story is. But
You've got an attachment. So let's talk about the Seattle real estate bubble for a second. It's this expectation that we created all this free stuff back in 2020 to 2022, and money was cheap. Everybody was buying houses, getting out of the city, and just prices for homes just exploded, right? Land value is at an all-time high, as you can see here by NAHB's data. That's National Association of Home Builders. You can see over here on this graph, Pacific Coast, $143,000 for a lot, just dirt. And spec builders, their prices have increased. 206 is what they're saying is the average price per square foot to build a spec house. That's speculative, short for speculative building, where builder will buy up land or some tear down houses and build 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 houses and speculate what they're going to sell for. So those builders, I would say that's In Seattle, that's closer to probably 250, 250 to 350, 250 minimum, maybe 200 if it was a total builder basic, and I would call it builder beige job. And for people that already own their land, 128 was the number per square foot, at least for this report. So costs going up for everything. That's pretty expected given the current economic conditions that we're in. Existing home sales, like you said, dropped amid rising mortgage rates. You can see the graph here. These are years. So this is 99 versus now in Q3 2020. And this graph is local. This is the data that I track for new pendings and solds in King County. You can see here, the green is new listings headed down, and pendings also down, but starting to level off, it looks like, and solds are all over the place for that. And like you said, Freddie Mac, mortgage rates climbing. We're at, their website's got a 30-year fix at 6.94.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.2 in there.
As of this morning, yeah.
Yeah. And, but if you look at it overall, you look at this, if you blow this graph out, we're still below the average for since 1974.
Yep.
Um,
Now, you know, the 1980 to 1986, that kind of skews the average a little bit, but
right.
Still, even if that peak was down a little bit, we're still in there in the average at 7%.
So to summarize where we're at, and what you're hearing, if you find this useful, interesting yet, maybe we're being a little scary, just leave a comment. Let us know how you feel, and subscribe if you want to see this on a weekly basis. We do these every Wednesday at noon, around noon. But to summarize, think costs are going up, mortgage rates are up, and we need to take a local approach when it comes to real estate. So when it comes to the Seattle metro area, we need to look at net migration and population growth. And that's one of the metrics that we need to track for this. And if you can see here, and I'll provide all these links in the show notes when we post this, but net migration for 2021 was 83,000 in Washington state, up 40,000 from last year. And it accounted for 86% of the state's growth. And natural births only 14% in Washington state. And of that, King County was about 33,800 was the average per year. So last year was a little bit down on that at 30,700, but still positive. So
that's a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
They got to live somewhere, Spencer.
And yeah, so when you compare that to how many housing units we added. So down here, I think they talk about, here it is. This in 2021, 46,500 housing units were added total. Seems like a bit of a shortfall to me.
Yeah.
A little more than half. So going into 2022, we have even more units, 137,000 apartment units planned. Now, not all of those are going to go live in 2023. Those projects typically take about 5 to 10 years to complete, but that's what's in the pipeline. And some of those won't even get built. Let's remember that. And that's just for the Central Puget Sound pipeline, not all the state. And so if we're adding, let's say conservatively 60,000 people to this area per year, do you think that we're going to have enough housing in the next 3 to 5 years at that rate that we're building units of housing?
No.
So yes, the interest rates are high. The economy's scary. There's a looming recession that's pretty obviously going to happen sometime in 2023. I don't think anybody could deny that at this point. But at least for Washington State, Central Puget Sound region, the outlook is still fairly positive for job growth, even though it's going to be much lower than it has been the last couple of years. Inventory is still going to be low. They just can't build them fast enough out here. And net migration to the area because of the jobs that we have here, still up, positive, very much positive year over year. So all that makes for a recipe of higher prices. So
Correct.
when we look at oh yeah, this is what I wanted to pop up here, I think. Yeah. So what we're looking at here is the land share of home values. So when you get your tax assessed value, it comes in two parts. It comes in the land value and the improvement value, which is the actual structure, your house that's on the land. And this percentage here is the land's share of those home values. And you can see here in Snohomish, King, Pierce, Kitsap, Mason County, all above 50%, which is huge. And so when you look at available land to build on, there's not that much. And the land that is available to build on is incredibly valuable in this super dense region that we're in. So this is a pretty good recipe for sustained higher price in at least central Puget Sound region. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. You got Matthew Gardner. He's the economist for Windermere. He stated recently that this recession that we're expecting in 2023 to feel a little bit more like 1990. I don't know if you remember the 1990s, Tom, after the Gulf War. I certainly don't, because I'm only 35.
Yes, I remember it.
I was playing video games in my parents' house. And so he says it's going to feel a lot like that. Gulf War, there was a huge loss in consumer confidence. I actually had to go read the report that they linked here to understand it, because I don't remember history. So yeah, you've got a loss of consumer confidence. You've got GDP stagnation and all that in 1990 that affected this mild recession that we had. So again, all that has to do with supply and demand. Was there something you wanted to chime in?
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good transition. I'll add to it. It's the things I've read, some of the videos I've seen of economists. You had a lot of people this last 2 years who decided, because the housing prices were going up so fast, even though the rates were at 3%, they're like, I'm going to wait this out. I'm going to wait for prices to come down. Okay. So you waited it out and prices have come down. The actual value of the homes haven't necessarily come down, but the actual asking prices have come down, still about 10% higher than last year. And even though rates are higher, when are you going to find a time more awesome where even though we have low inventory, okay, and you said it yourself, low inventory drives prices up, right? Low inventory right now, and we've got prices on homes actually coming down a bit.
Yeah.
Even with the higher rate, never been a better time to get out and get a good price on a home. Because what's going to happen in the spring, we're going to see rates come down. We're going to see prices start rocketing again because of the low inventory. And if the rates come down, people are going to start filing out. And what do you think, Spencer? Will we see a repeat of bidding wars and all that come next year?
We very much could.
Yeah. So if that's a possibility, there is no reason to wait. There's never been a better time in the last several years to get the house that you want at a decent price. Yes, maybe the rate is high. We just refinance you next year when the rates come down. But the way I see it, never been a better time in the last several years to get out and buy a house with the prices down a bit. Nobody's out there battling you for that house. So, what do you think, Spencer?
Yes. Everybody uses the phrase, marry the price, marry the house, state the rate.
Yeah.
I've gotten away from that a little bit.
Yeah. That was popular about 2 months ago.
2 months ago, just because each individual's situation is obviously completely different. And
Yeah.
maybe buying a house is not right for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Maybe you're just going to keep renting for a while. But for those people who have patiently saved their money and kept paying their bills to keep their credit score up. Side note, have you heard about the FHFA changes to the way credit scores are tracked?
I know they were making some augmentations.
The score models that they use?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that, went down that rabbit hole yesterday.
Oh God.
But anyways, yeah, with at least in the central Puget Sound where inventory is low, inventory supply is low, and it's not, as we showed a minute ago, it's not expected to increase in any meaningful way anytime soon. Builder sentiment is low. All the big builders in the area that I've talked to, they are backing off and getting more selective with the lots that they develop. And so the low supply will continue and interest rates come down. I'm going to say if, because nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know
That's right.
what the heck's
That's right.
going to happen.
If I said when, but you know what? Rates
But
go up, they have to come down eventually. Maybe not. Who knows when? But they always.
you've been doing this a long time. There's probably a high likelihood.
Yeah, I've been through the ups and the downs, so
Uh,
I know they'll come down eventually.
But if they come down
Yep.
and we still have low inventory, whenever they come down, you're going to see all these people who have been waiting for rates to come down. They're going to jump in,
Yeah,
I think, because of what we've been through in the last 2 to 3 years.
yeah,
They see that interest rates going up past 7 now, and they're like, crap, I can't buy a house anymore. So when they come down to a reasonable rate, I think people are going to jump in before it goes back up again.
which is going to make it more difficult to secure the house you want.
Which, yeah, everybody, you got to understand, like everybody else in the central Puget Sound region has that same idea.
Yep.
Everybody is waiting right now. Everybody that I talk to, there's very few buyers in the market. There's still buyers in the market. Buyers and sellers will always be there, but I think that's what you'll see.
Yeah. So when was the last time any of us saw inventory on homes this low
Mm-hmm.
and home prices not rising? At least
Yeah, you can
at
see
substantial
here.
rate. So I just really, I used to sit on the premise of just get the house you want and we'll refinance you next year. But the more I look at the numbers and everything, it's when do you see an opportunity to get into a house with a fair price when the inventory is this low? Because usually if the inventory is this low, you're going to see home prices just skyrocket. But right now they're not skyrocketing. So I know if I was definitely in the market for a house, I'd pull the trigger now. Trigger's a bad thing, but sorry.
Oh, you're pulling anyways. Yeah, but you can see here the last 5 weeks, prices have flattened out. We dropped about 20%, at least on the east side here, 1.725 million. It dropped pretty quick between April and end of May, over $100,000 in median value. And now we're leveled off here at 1.3, 1.35. And a 9.25 over in Seattle, or not 9.25, 925,000. It didn't drop quite as bad in Seattle, but it didn't have as far to drop
Right.
at the same time. But what's funny is you still have sellers that appear to be, at least by the median active price in the areas. Seattle, not so much, but you still have an median active price of 1.65 million over on the east side. Now, could that be affected by some waterfront properties that we've got? There's an $18 million property available in Medina right now. Yeah, could be. But I think chasing the market could hurt sellers, at least.
Yeah.
You got to get ahead of, if right now, anybody that's selling their house right now has got to sell their house. They're relocating or they got to move, distressed or something.
Yep.
And at least if you're on the east side, you're going to be chasing the market down unless you price your home correctly. And really Seattle as well in this market. It's not 6 months ago market where you could price your home aspirationally and still get 13 offers on your house. We'll see what the spring brings, but if rates go down, like you said, I think we're going to see another buying frenzy, at least maybe a short one, while all these people that are waiting on the fence jump back into the market and take advantage of it. So back in April, we were down here at 0.5 months of in Q1. Let's just call it Q1 of 2022. And we shot up in Q2, Q3 of 2022 to, sorry, this isn't month supply, this is days on market. But either way, we were down here 5 days on market. And now we're up over 30, over 40 days on market for these markets that I track over here: Seattle, East Side, King County, Central Puget Sound. And if anything starts to go over that, start getting 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 days on market, typically what I'm seeing is that could mean that your house is overpriced, or that there's just too much work required to make it worth it for a buyer to buy that house and fix it up right now with interest rates as high as they are, because they're already strapping themselves thin with the interest rates, trying to buy as much house as they can. And you throw on top of that a $50,000, $100,000 renovation project before you even move in. Not a lot of people in this market that can handle that right now. Also, because everybody else, because you've got a lot of tech employees here, they're seeing what's going on within their companies that they're working at: Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and seeing these layoffs and seeing the slowdowns in hiring and these companies bracing for impact. They are boosting up their savings for a rainy day. Massive renovation project is much less appealing right now for buyers, at least what I'm seeing. So there's other ways around that. I talk about it all the time with my buyers. There's FHA 203K loans. There's all sorts of options: buying the rate down, saving some money in other ways. So it just takes being creative in this market, and buyers and sellers just need to realize that and get creative.
Yeah.
I want to end it on a positive note. So
Good idea.
let's talk. I really like looking at building technologies and new construction projects here in the Puget Sound area. And there's a couple of projects that caught my eye over here. And one of them's on Bell Red Road, and the other one is down on First Hill in Seattle. And the one on First Hill is actually a project funded by one of Mark Cuban's companies, and it's a mass timber project. In other words, they're using what they call cross-laminated timber. And just to show you what I mean by cross-laminated timber, if you've not heard of it, CLT is basically where they take directional lumber and cross hatch it like you would sew a cotton garment or something like that. What's cool about this is these projects are cheaper than brick cement projects, the ones that last 200 plus years. These CLT projects, they also are expected to last about 200 years versus the standard 50 to 70 years that a traditional stick built project would be. Now, I think these projects are no more than about 8 or 9 stories tall. This one on Bell Red Road is 203 units, about 260,000 square feet. This is all made out of cross-laminated timber products, and gonna have some underground parking. And the cool thing about this project, it's a 15-minute walk to the nearest light rail station.
It's in the Spring District.
It is pretty close, yeah.
Mm.
And so as they finish, another thing, you mentioned the Spring District, that made me think of Wilburton neighborhood here on the east side.
Yeah.
That's going to be the next Spring District.
Really?
Yeah. So the city of Bellevue is, let's see if I can pull it up here I'll just pull it up right here. The city of Bellevue is pouring a massive amount of money and effort into this area here, this Wilburton neighborhood. And they're doing a project. So here's the light rail. They've already got it on Google Maps.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the light rail. There's going to be a walking biking bridge that spans 405 over, I think it's going to go from the Bellevue Square Mall, essentially. I think it's 4th Street. And it's going to span 405 and go over here, over by REI and Target and in this area. And it's going to link up to this light rail station that's here on Northeast 8th.
Wow.
And the bike path that comes up here, 520 and Cross Kirkland Corridor Trail. And
Yeah.
that's going to go all the way down here to the old train bridge. And that's going to eventually link up into Seattle
Wow.
and down into Renton and up into Woodinville. So pretty cool stuff happening in Wilbur neighborhood on
Yeah.
Bellevue.
That's fun stuff.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening there. That's all I got for this week. Hope you guys found it useful and informative. If you did, comment down below. Let us know how you're feeling about it. And make sure to subscribe. We love that.
Be great. Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you, all your insights.
You too.
And we'll check in next week.
Okay.
Bye.